Do you see what I see? And can I see exactly what you see? Because the world is seeing so many things, but the problem is we're all seeing it so differently. Oh my God, too many C's, because C has become quite a bad word. COVID-19 or coronavirus. The situation that we are in is all about confusion and controversy, but what we need is clarity and a conclusion. Today I have with me someone who's very profound with all of this, and with over 20 years of scientific experience and a strong root in terms of Ayurveda, the tried and tested formula for healing and wellness. Today with me is a man who knows it all and believes that the future is quite under our control if you follow a certain path. With me is Dr. Narasimham Jammi. Vanakkam sir, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Not as comfortable and chilled as you are, because when I entered and we met each other, you seemed like, you knew this was supposed to happen and you've got everything under control. When I see this, it's a very, comforting factor that the best in the business or the best in the service, I don't know whether doctors is business or service today, I'm not too clear with that. But, you look like everything's under control.
Hey, this was inevitable, right? Even the largest pandemic before this, the Spanish flu, more people died in the second wave than they did the actual outbreak of the pandemic. It is inevitable that this was going to happen, and we knew that the second wave was at some point going to happen, and we needed to be prepared for it. So the most important thing that I think we all need to do is get vaccinated, right? That's number one thing you all need to do. It's our national duty to get vaccinated. Let's protect ourselves. But beyond that, we also need to build our immunity over the long run, right? So that's what's really important, and I'm chilled because I've built my immunity.
Well, today we talk to you as a citizen who's got great scientific background. We also talk to you as a scientist who knows a lot about the Indian conditions. You've got the blend of both going. You say it was inevitable. What was inevitable, sir? The fact that election rallies will take place was inevitable. The fact that the Kumbh Mela procession will take place, that was inevitable. What was inevitable? Why do you think it had to happen? Just because we did that long time back in another era?
There certainly could have been a lot of unavoidables. I mean, avoidables. The Kumbh Mela could have been avoided. I really think that there was no need for the Kumbh Mela. Elections, you know what? That's not for me to comment. It's for the election commissions to have taken that call. So the whole idea of having a group of people together in a situation like today is stupid, right? It should not have happened. But then again, before I say anything else, I'm all pro, making sure that you follow your culture, you follow your religion. Correct. But there's a time and place for everything. And this was not the time and place for it.
India is a country with the best of brains. We've got the most wisest brains. But India also is a country that lives on faith and trust. So this amalgamation of both is a very fatal combination. I see this
fatal or fantastic. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, but you come in from over 20 years of experience in terms of science, right? And generations of legacy behind you in terms of Ayurveda, which is tried, tested. Today, the man who's opposite me, this is yourself. In several platforms, you've told us, like you said now as well, it is your national duty to put the vaccine. You come from over 100 years of legacy of Ayurveda, which is tried, tested and proven. And you are telling people it's your duty to put a vaccine which is not tested at all. People don't know the difference between Covaxin and Covishield. No one knows it. What's available? Okay, whatever is there. Someone forward and says Covishield is better. Some say Covaxin is better. We have no idea. National duty is to put the vaccine, or national duty is to explain to the people what exactly is going on.
People don't know the difference between Covishield and Covaxin, right? And it's important that you explain. I mean, I'll explain the difference to the general public, right?
Please.
Covishield and Covaxin are two different ways in which you vaccinate people. Covishield is based on an adenovirus vector. Don't just ignore the science part of it. It's built on the premise that the spike protein of the coronavirus is going to generate immunity, right? The spike protein is where the actual docking happens onto human cells, right? So that's Covishield. Covaxin is a more traditional approach where you take a virus, the whole coronavirus, and you attenuate it. Attenuate it means weaken it. By itself, when you take that attenuated virus, it can't cause any disease, but then it can elicit an immune response. So that's the difference. Both of them work. Don't worry about, various claims that say that, this doesn't work against the double mutant, this doesn't work against the single mutant. All of that is not necessary for you guys to think about. The scientist, ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, has shown that Covishield also works on the double mutant. Covaxin works slightly better on the double mutant. Now, that does not mean that you should not take Covishield, because you have no idea what you're going to be exposed to. You could be exposed to the single mutant, you could be exposed to the double mutant, you don't know.
Thank you. I don't think we've got such a detailed explanation from anybody. Forget detail, we've got no explanation from anybody, right? But every body and any body is different. So are you saying that your body, whether I put Covaxin or Covishield, will have the same effect? One medicine doesn't work for all. So how can it come to a stage where we say that it doesn't matter whatever your body is, whatever your age is, whatever your type is, whatever your activity is, just take any one which is available? This is marketing. This is just selling what we have. It's dumping stock.
No. It's not marketing. Let me clarify that, right? So here there is an individual response to each vaccine. Each individual responds differently. For sure, right? Yeah. So that's what the vaccine does. And what this does is it elicits the immune response. It shows that this is a way in which your body is actually working against whatever has been vaccinated.
Would you as a scientist say that it could have been explained better so people actually get into it with knowledge, with faith, and not with fear? They're two completely different things. And when we go into the Ayurveda mode of thing, which we talk about, faith and fear are two parallels. Stress and calmness are two parallels of health. So don't you think it should have been approached differently?
Okay, the vaccination, the development process by itself was not faith. It was hardcore science. Yeah. Let's get that very clear.
And every country, every continent treated it differently.
Yeah, because they have different strains, right? See, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are done for that strain that's available in the United States.
So the Pfizer or the one that was in Russia, the Sputnik, will not work here?
No, Sputnik again is a different. I'm talking about the Pfizer and the Moderna ones, right? They are mRNA-based vaccines against a strain that's found in the United States.
So it's region-based.
It's region-based. So you would want. That's exactly in one of my earlier talks. I had very clearly said that you want to pick a vaccine that is going to work against the population of the region that you're actually living in. Right? There's absolutely no point, in my opinion, that you would take it against a vaccine that has a completely different.
What's the point then?
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah. So, and I'm sure the site. So, when you want a Pfizer or a Moderna vaccine to be given in India, you need to have a lot more extensive tests done here, which is what Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute have done. They have done that initial science, they've done the initial work. So, they know very clearly that it's elicited a very good immune response in India, whereas the Pfizer one and the Moderna one, we don't have enough data. And if the data shows that it works, we should take it, right? Because you have more vaccines. But until you have data, let's not jump the gun.
When people say that because of this vaccine, there's blood clot, and that leads to a heart attack or leads to even death in various forms, does this vaccine lead to a blood clot? Yes or no?
Coincidence does not mean causality. Let's remember that. Just because somebody had...
You're using scientific words.
No. Two very English words. Coincidence, causality. Right? Just because somebody had a blood clot...
Not somebody, quite a few people.
Okay, no, not quite a few people. The frequency of those blood clots is 19 in a few million.
I agree with you, 19 in a million is a small number.
Very small number.
But for those 19, it was the world. For those 19 families, for those 19 people, it was the world. So let's not shred off 19 lives.
We are not doing that. Okay, and again, I beg to differ on the fact that it's the vaccine that caused those things. There is no evidence for that. It's just coincidence, right? Vivek did not die of a vaccine. Let's be very clear about that. Guys, Vivek did not die because of a vaccine. He died because he had other problems ahead of this whole vaccination issue. So
people say, the Indian vaccine, let's not trust this. We'll take something from the US, take something from Europe, something from Germany. Indian vaccine and all, let's not try it. You've heard this, I'm sure.
I've heard this.
I've been in a gang of this as well. How much does it prick? How much does it hurt you?
Complete bullshit. Okay, number one. Actually, you should be taking the Indian vaccine.
Exactly now, because you said it is tried in the Indian conditions.
You should be taking a vaccine that's relevant for this particular geography, for this particular population. Right? Like I said, I will not be touching Pfizer or Moderna unless I have data, and I don't have data. Just because the white man has said it's good, you shouldn't be doing it. Exactly. That's not the way we work, right? That's not how science works.
You say the vaccine will last for 1 year, then we'll have different strains. That's one part of it. But what you're saying, the only way to handle this is improve your immunity.
Absolutely.
And that's something you stand for, courtesy a lot of science-based facts that you have. Let's talk about immunity. People have been sending forwards put ginger, put salt, put pepper, put turmeric in this part of your body.
Yeah.
Different things. I mean, I know we're a free country, but not free for stupidity sometimes. Okay, so what have you read recently? I never learned this in the 100 years that I know Ayurveda.
So this is very important. A very important question you brought up, Rajiv. Number one, okay, haldi, ginger, black pepper, tulsi, all good, right? All good. Please take it. Happily take it. But don't think that it's going to, save you from corona. That's not really what it's all about. It's definitely it's not going to harm you, number one. It's definitely going to have some benefits. What it is, we don't really know exactly. But it's something that's going to help with your, immune boosting capabilities and things like that. But you really want to understand what immunity is all about. And this is something I'm at pains to tell people. Right? Most people think that immunity resides in the blood. Right? Immunity does not reside in the blood. Immunity actually resides in your gut. 80% of the body's immunity resides in the gut. Right? So what you really need to do to boost your immunity is to be able to make sure that whatever you eat, whatever you imbibe is actually absorbed by the body. Digested and absorbed. The nutrients are absorbed. And that's not something that you can do in today's age, simply because of the fact that the food that you eat is itself not very pure. Correct. So the amount of nutrients that you have is kind of very watered down, diluted. So you need to be able to absorb it. There is only one system of life, medicine, call it what you will, that's capable of making sure that you absorb all of the nutrients that you possibly can, and that's Ayurveda. And I say this with absolutely no bias. I say this as a scientist. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why this is, right? So there is a concept called rasayana, a set of formulations in Ayurveda called rasayanas, rejuvenators, right? And these rejuvenators are made with spices and herbs and leaves and herbs and shoots, and they're very, very rationally formulated, right? And you need to be, and when you take those rasayanas, they rejuvenate not just your body, your tissues, it also helps in absorbing nutrients from the food that you eat. There is no equivalent concept.
This is an ancient.
Oh, this is as old as Ayurveda itself, right? This is not something that I made up, right? I mean, there's a treatise on rasayanas, right? Okay. And there is no equivalent concept in allopathy, right? So immunity is something that you don't get overnight. No, you don't take. It's vaccination immunity again is something that you get for that particular disease. Correct. We are talking about immunity in general.
General well-being.
Wellness is what we're talking about, and for that, Ayurveda is the only solution. But what scientists have found out right now is it's the microbiome that drives the health of a human being, and there's a whole new science called microbiomics, right? And this is what really blew my mind. That's exactly what Ayurveda has been talking about for the last 5 millennia at the very least. And you know what? There are Ayurvedic Vaidyas in every city. Find a good Vaidya, talk to him and understand what rasayana that you can take, right? And he will guide you, right? So my point is very simple. When you have this ready-made wonder that is Ayurveda, that is going to help you boost your immunity, it makes no sense for you to, try to, reinvent the wheel and then figure it out. There are a lot of brilliant scientists over here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So we know Ayurveda works. But we know that it works really well in boosting immunity. And that's really what we really need to be focusing on for the foreseeable future.
So today's generation is very result oriented. We want it, we do it today, we want results tomorrow. Okay, we'll wait for 2 days, we need results. Is Ayurveda treatment or the treatments you prescribe something that takes time for the body to react on to? Is it a patience process?
There's a lot of myth associated with Ayurveda, right? One, oh no, it's very, very slow. You know what?
Exactly.
That's bullshit again. There's actually a very famous saying in allopathy, right? If you have a cold, it goes away in 7 days without medicine. But if you take medicine, it goes away in a week's time. Right? So there's no cure for a cold. That's basically what it's saying. But that's not really true in Ayurveda, right? You can cure colds. Common colds can be cured in Ayurveda in a matter of 2 to 3 days. For example, you can't gain weight by eating junk food over the last 10 years and then expect to lose weight and expect a solution in 2 months.
Correct.
That's not going to happen. Right? So,
it's a process of adapting.
It's a process of adapting it. The point I'm trying to make is even immunity, how does the vaccination work? It says wait for 48 days before you actually start kicking in. Right? Yeah. Even modern science needs time to work. Right? Chemotherapy goes over 8 cycles. It needs time. Everything needs time. And you need to understand a few things right now. In today's day and age, You can't keep taking these rasayanas and these good things, and then at the same time have a lifestyle that's not sustainable.
Exactly.
You can't keep drinking alcohol, you can't smoke, and you can't eat junk food, fatty food, all of those kinds of things. You can't keep doing that on one side and then do this on the other side and then expect to be better. That's not how it works.
But Ayurveda treatment is not a replacement for vaccine. So people shouldn't think that, okay, I don't want the vaccine, I'm not too sure, I'll go for this. So it's not a so it is taking the best of both worlds today for the sake of yourself.
Get vaccinated and also use Ayurveda, right? Both need to be done, right? There is no question about not getting vaccinated, right? Vaccination is mandatory. Please, for heaven's sake, don't have any fear about it. You're going to have reactions like, a fever, a cold, or a chill, a back pain, whatever. That's part of the process. Don't fall prey to all of these WhatsApp forwards and these, Facebook forwards. Let's not be very, judgmental about these kinds of things. That's not how it works. Vaccines are safe. The ones that are present in India right now, Covaxin and Covishield, both are safe. And at the same time, start building your immunity using Ayurveda. Yeah. Ayurveda is the only way in which you can build immunity, and I'm willing to debate any allopath out there. But
I'm sure nobody wants to debate you, sir. There's no fight on that one. We talk about this medical fraternity, the scientists working side by side or along with the politicians. It needs to be something that the government and the scientists do together. Yeah. It's not a battle against each other. It's a journey together that we're embarking on. So somewhere we believe that, the scientists are doing the political stuff and the politicians are trying to be the scientists here, saying what to be done, when to be done, which day the lockdown needs to be. Don't you think the scientists and the government need to work hand in hand? And
they do.
And at the end of it, the people are so ready to point fingers at the government and the scientists. We're ready to do that. The scientists didn't do his job properly, the government didn't explain properly. Common man can pass the buck. But where the buck lies is where the partnership actually is grounded. So do you think that chemistry between the two departments is key?
You know what? Unfortunately, there are not very many scientists. There are a lot of bureaucrats and there's a lot of politicians. I don't see very many scientists in the government. I wish there were scientists, right? There are bureaucrats and there are politicians. Show me one scientist in any government that is actually, a spokesperson. You should have scientists talking about this.
Exactly.
That's the point. I think that's a message for all the governments.
Correct.
Center, state, whatever, right? You need to have scientists talking about this kind of stuff because they're the ones who've done the work. They're the ones who know.
The knowledge comes from there.
Exactly.
And where knowledge is, there information. Where information and clarity is where confidence comes.
Exactly.
So that chain is where we need to bridge.
Yeah. You don't need a bureaucrat doing it. You don't need a politician doing it. Because they don't know.
We need many Narasimhams.
Yeah.
We have only one.
No. You don't want many Narasimhams. That's the problem.
So tell me from here, in your vast expertise, okay, what is in store here? When will this end? Is there a third wave? Get it on record now. Not after it's there. You say, that in the 80s, in that Spain it happened, so it's bound to happen again. History repeats itself. From here today, what we see, what we tackle, what's the future in your expertise? There's no guarantee. There is no guarantee. Yeah. Expertise and an opinion, much more validated from here than from here. So, what is your take on this?
Okay, I don't know. Right? So I don't know the answer whether there's going to be a third wave.
That's the only thing you and me have in common. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if there's going to be a third wave. I hope there isn't one.
Yeah.
But if there is one, you can be a lot more prepared by doing what I tell you to do. Right?
Exactly.
Right? I'm going to give you all pointers on how to go about doing it. It's very important that you learn to relax. Right? Most of the people actually are falling sick simply because they're so stressed out. The stress is actually a very silent killer. People don't really realize that, right? So, and there's no medicine for stress. Again, in allopathy, you can't pop a pill. There are cures for stress. There are treatments for stress in Ayurveda. And I say Ayurveda, Ayurveda's got 3 pillars. Huh? It's not just medicines. It's food, it's exercise, and the last, actually a very minuscule portion of Ayurveda is the medicines.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So pranayama
is a lifestyle, actually.
It's a lifestyle. So pranayama, right? Pranayama is an amazing tool for reducing stress, right? And pranayama is like, you have all of these newfangled gurus teaching you pranayama and all those kind of things. Let's not, the real way in which you actually do pranayama is you inhale, you hold the breath, and then you exhale. It's a very simple process. And it's been delineated, right? Inhalation of the breath is called puraka. Holding the breath is called kumbhaka. Getting rid of the breath is called rechaka. And you need to do it for a certain count. Right? This is well done, and all you have to do is practice it for 10 minutes a day. So your stress levels come down. Just adopt Ayurveda. Please, in whichever way you can, take rasayanas, follow the diet patterns of Ayurveda. You know what? That's another thing that I keep talking about. This whole concept of breakfast. It's a newfangled concept. 50 years ago, there was no breakfast in India. Breakfast in India happened only in the last 15 years. Just think about this. Do you remember your grandfather actually having breakfast? There is no breakfast, and you are supposed to eat only 2 meals a day. You don't need 3 meals a day. You actually fall sick because you're eating way too much food.
Okay.
You don't need so much food.
And never eat 100% is what
never
they say.
Never eat 100%.
Keep it 70.
Half food,
okay.
a quarter water, quarter air. That's recommended. That's the way you ought to be eating.
Yeah.
Eat till you get your first burp. And that usually happens when you eat half.
The man with a great scientific brain but a strong foundation of tried, tested formulas. I think this is a very, very, very strong combination that you have. I must thank you, Doctor, for coming, spreading a great understanding, knowledge, which we should have had a long time back. But at least it's building up to people. And what's very important is to crush all the myths and the confusion that people are under, and give them clarity that at the end of it, we might not have found a solution 100%, but we're on the track. And if we follow what you're saying, you know that you're in control of the journey, and the destination will come by, which is exactly what you've done. In these times of being safe and being isolated, it's very important for us to be together in terms of ideas, in terms of ideology, and a strong intent to fight the invisible enemy. And that can only be done through knowledge. Put the vaccine no matter what it is. Stay calm, stay stress-free, and follow the Ayurveda diet is the best solution.
Not the Ayurveda diet, the Ayurvedic way of life.
Way of living, and that's a great lifestyle which great-grandfathers adopted to remain great. Thank you very much. It was a complete pleasure. Thank you for all the knowledge on Chennai Live.